there's something to be said about modesty, and that's not a word that is usually associated with a franchise about giant alien robots that could change into alternative forms such as cars or planes, miniature guns or tape cassettes, monsters or even dinosaurs. Modesty is also a word you wouldn't associate with Hasbro. Come on, is Hasbro free of vanity or boastfulness? Is it simplistic? Does it take things in moderation? No, of course not, and neither does this franchise. Transformers is a franchise which is loud, industrial, scientific, very rock and roll, while also full of heroism and heart. The setup of Transformers is pretty simple. The whole franchise is based on a civil war that started several million years ago, before humans ever existed. It is a war between two factions of sentient alien robots, the heroic Autobots and the evil Decepticons. The story and the franchise is forever expanding and is now arguably unrecognizable. The Transformers franchise is anything but modest, but compare this to the live action films by Michael Bay, I have to admit, this movie is by far the superior film. I view the Michael Bay films as nothing more than junkyard orgies. Giant alien robots fist fighting while destroying the cities full of humans that the Autobots are supposed to be protecting, where the Transformers very rarely do transform, and it's even rarer for them to be in disguise. The live action films are ironically far more cartoony in tone than this movie is. At the same time though, the Transformers movie is far more about marketing the toy line, while the live action movies are more about marketing themselves. The movie served as a bridge between season 2 and 3, as well as a way to introduce the new toy line and end the G1 line. It is a little soulless when you look at it that way, but as the slogan says, there is definitely more than meets the eye here. Mainly because this movie is what started off the whole movies based on toys thing, which has had a resurgence in recent years. Thanks. No, really, I mean that. Sorry if it sounded sarcastic. Here are my thoughts on Transformers the movie. From the very opening scene in which Unicron, a planet-sized transformer, destroys the whole planet, this film seems to want you to feel uncomfortable. It immediately sets the tone in a much more melancholic place than the TV series did. And why not? It gives an unsettling presence that pulses through the movie, and really, you need the tone difference there so the movie doesn't feel like just a feature-length episode of the TV series. The animation is of higher quality, and like the show, the movie does feel more like an anime than an American series, and right off the bat, it throws a body count in your face. The height of that, of course, is the movie's brutal slaughter of all of your favourite Transformers characters from season 1 and 2 of the cartoon series, culminating in the death of Optimus Prime, which takes place barely 25 minutes into the film. Oh yeah, spoilers! For more than 2/3 of the film, the cast you're following is almost entirely new. So fans of the series would understandably be pretty peeved, while anyone new to the franchise would be confused as to who they should be rooting for. The art and the animation of this film is ridiculously outlandish and egocentric. The Transformers embody everything that most people are drawn to regardless of age or gender. Strength, fierceness, and superhuman powers. The powers in this case being the power to transform. Oh, okay, so that last one isn't for everyone, and neither is the art of the film. The art is aggressive, hostile, and triumphant, while the animation kinda stalls in comparison. But there's a magic about it that is so iconic and beautiful and full of promise, of an endless science fiction adventure set to a fantastic rock and roll soundtrack. The Transformers franchise, as well as this movie, has a unique look that is instantly recognisable, and has remained unchanged more or less for more than a decade. The movie isn't a never-ending battle, but rather a war framed by the haunting presence of Unicron and the reassuring spirit of Optimus Prime. The Transformers explode onto the screen in a display of bright harshness on the backdrop of deep space. Often define perspective with overly dramatic battle poses, both factions show character designs with inconsistent proportions, ending up bottom heavy and expressionless, relying more on the voice actors and the music than the animation itself to tell the story. The voice acting for the most part is pretty excellent, and is famously the last role of Orson Welles, who provided the voice for Unicron. Eric Idle is also in this, but he stood out like a sore thumb for me, and some of the other voices were so distorted or doctored, they were really difficult to process. It wasn't groundbreaking by any means, but it has been placed on a well-earned pedestal. The impact of Optimus Prime's death was kind of diluted when he was brought back, much to the demand of the fans, and although this moment made the movie stand out historically, it was, in my opinion, a bad move. The way it was portrayed in the movie was perfect and moving, don't get me wrong, but from the standpoint of knowing what actually is at the heart of why a franchise is successful, it's not about inventing more complex robots. At the core of this franchise is Optimus Prime himself, providing a character with strong morals and brilliant military tactics and a strong sense of honour and justice. He injects a much needed mysticism into the franchise, which without him would just be a junkyard dogfight. Killing off Optimus Prime and replacing him with Ultra Magnus happened far too early in the film, leaving fans feeling betrayed. But even with all this, the film has become a cult classic. It forced the G.I. Joe movie to change so that Duke was just in a coma instead of, killed off. And it was also the reason why the Gem movie was completely scrapped. It was this controversy that has made this movie outlive most of the other franchises from Hasbro at the time, or at least kind of raced past them in popularity. Optimus Prime was brought back to the franchise in the two-part episode The Return of Optimus Prime, which might as well have just been titled, "Hey, sorry we killed off Robot Jesus, here's his resurrection story." I think we are often blinded by nostalgia. It is far more worthwhile to focus our thoughts on affecting the present moment, as it is the present moment that determines our reality and our future. In the case of the Transformers franchise, however, it is perhaps better to ignore the current state of the Transformers movies and look to this one and dream of what could have been. Though I suppose this would be the same as swimming against the current of life. The harder you try, the further out to sea you will find yourself. Transformers the movie served its purpose long ago, and the franchise has moved on. We may look back on it with fondness, but we don't really want the past to return either. Thanks for the memories. I'm Mad Munchkin, stay creative. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video, and before you go, don't forget to click that like button and check out some of my other content too. And hey, if you really like what you saw and want to see more, go ahead and click subscribe. Don't forget you can also show your support by following the official Mad Munchkin Facebook page for convention announcements, as well as links to my 2 online shops where you can purchase some of my artwork. Also keep an eye out on the DeviantArt page for announcements on when I am open for commissioned work. Don't forget you can also show your support by becoming a Patreon on my Patreon page, where you can win exclusive rewards like badges, stickers, discounts on commissions, and limited edition personally signed prints, as well as giving me ideas for what to cover in future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again soon.